Alright, so I guess this is going to be part 2 of starting my life story. There's a lot of parts to it. Alright, so where I left off was when I was pew-pewed. It's actually not funny, but anyway, so as you can imagine, when my husband at the time took the children from me, I lost my damn mind. Any woman would. So my coping mechanism was to pick up a substance. A few substances, including alcohol. And, not that I hadn't dabbled in the past, but I spiraled way out of control with this. So, back and forth to family court. And, of course, I look like the worst mother in the world, in the judge's eyes, and everybody's eyes. My kids' eyes, too, probably. I remember that day, though, Christmas Day, before my ex walked out the door. Excuse me. He turned back around and he said, "You'll never get them back because I will never give you a dime." I'm like, okay, so you never gave me a dime anyway. Doesn't matter. Meanwhile, I forgave the MF 80 grand in arrears. But yeah, that goes unnoticed. He forgot about that. Selective memory. So yeah, family court, back and forth. I was fighting and fighting and fighting, and I couldn't do it anymore. They were making me crazy. The whole situation was making me, to be blunt, wanting to unalive myself at that time. I didn't have a plan or anything, but I just, what mother wants to live without their children? I already lost one. So when I wake up every morning, it's the biggest fear that I have. Losing another child. So, excuse me. So, I actually hate telling my story because it triggers the hell out of me. Just bear with me. I'll be back. Okay, we're good now. So that started the ball rolling with family court. In and out of family court for a very long time. And, I remember one day I went into court and there were letters written from my children with the help of some adults. But yeah, they wrote how horrible their life was and they didn't want to be with me. And I guess they were old enough to make that decision. So that was it. Yeah, totally lost custody. And that just broke me, My daughter is in my life now, and she's actually going through what I went through, but not the same circumstances. And I remember one day she told me, she said, "Now I know how you felt," and she apologized for, believing all the lies and basically being a mean little kid to me. Of course, I never held that against her. She's a child, she was a child at the time. I can't hold that against her. They were adults in their ears, but whatever. I was wrong for being with somebody. I really should have been concentrating on my children, and that's it. But, unfortunately, life just is so unpredictable, and, you just never think by having a boyfriend that you're going to lose your kids, right? This is super hard for me to talk about because it's awkward silence here, but in my mind it's crazy because I'm thinking about just the pain that I went through. Every night I would cry myself to sleep. Every morning it was the same, but I had mentioned earlier in my previous video that I lost a son years ago, and I know where he is. I almost feel like it was harder for me because I didn't know anything about my kids. Were they warm? Were they cold? Were they hungry? Were they missing me? It was really, really hard that time in my life. Some of you who know me know that I'm a singer and I'm a lyricist. one day police came to my apartment and took my whole damn notebook of lyrics. They picked the worst possible stuff that I wrote in there, which wasn't even really that bad, but they used it against me and tried to say that I was unstable. So when I looked at the paper, I noticed that in the Xerox copy, I could actually see the rings to the binder that the papers were in. So I knew that they took the whole thing and they went through every page, which was a lot. So I brought that up in the courtroom, and then I told the judge that I am a singer, I'm a lyricist, these are lyrics, this wasn't a letter, it wasn't to anybody, it's just it's just lyrics. She actually took a recess, she Googled me, she realized I was not lying about that, and then everything was dismissed that day. But guess what? It was too late because my children were brainwashed already. Alienated from me, and it would never be the same again. So I guess the moral of this video is the courts don't understand that when you take a child from a parent, they are going to act out of character. They may do things, they will do things that are normally not in their personality. For instance, just writing really deep, dark stuff in a notebook if you're a lyricist. Well, yeah, that's because you took my damn kids away, and that cut me like a knife, really. And that goes for any parent out there. So back then, they didn't even talk about parental alienation. It was just frowned upon. You couldn't cry in the courtroom. You look unstable. Well, guess what I did? I made t-shirts. And I remember on the front of the t-shirt, it had a picture of me and my children. And it said parental alienation. And then on the back of the shirt, it was a big explosion. And it said the real weapon of mass destruction. Ripping families apart, one case at a time. I remember at that time my attorney advised me not to wear the shirt. But nope, I wore it because if I can't talk in the courtroom, I'm definitely going to wear a shirt or carry a paper. I had a folder with stuff written on it. But the shirt, it spoke volumes. And I won that day. Maybe it was too late as far as getting my kids back, but I won. I mean, I proved them to be lying about me. I mean, it's crazy what family court, CPS, and all those people do. So anybody who's going through that, I really sympathize with you. And right now I'm trying to help my daughter out because she's going through 5 years of complete hell with family court. And this MF, her ex, boy, he's pulling the wool over their eyes. He's making a fool out of that whole courtroom. And I'm in the process of proving all this stuff while she's incarcerated, so they can't blame anything on her. But we'll get into that maybe in the next video. So if you want to hear more, stick around. I'm sorry I'm all over the place, but this stuff is really hard for me to talk about. If anyone's going through any of what I just spoke about, hang in there. You're not alone. And I really know how you feel.